Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have meteorite ALH 84001. In 1984, there was the discovery of a meteorite that had landed in Antarctica. This meteorite was a piece of Martian rock that had been blasted off of the surface of the red planet after some sort of collision, and it wandered the solar system for a cool 15 million years before it came hurtling down to Earth to be discovered by scientists. This is already pretty cool, but what's cooler is that in 1996, NASA scientists announced that they had found what appeared to be fossilized microbes in the rock. Analysis of the rock showed that it contained organic molecules and tiny specks of mineral magnetite, which can sometimes be found in the bacteria here on Earth. It was also said that underneath an electron microscope, the scientists found signs of nanobacteria. This piece of evidence has been quite controversial, with some scientists bringing up alternative to these key pieces of evidence. Some experts have argued that the magnetite wasn't actually similar to those found in Earth bacteria, and that the organic molecules were just contaminants from Earth, which is a fair argument. At the end of the day, we aren't exactly sure if this is proof or not, but the good news is that the Perseverance rover on Mars might finally be able to give us the answers to these questions. In our number 9 spot today, we have Dr. Richard Hoover. For around 2 decades, Dr. Richard Hoover has been studying meteorites that were found in Antarctica, and in 2011 he claimed that he and his team had found evidence of ancient bacteria from colonies that thrived on comets, moons, and other planets. The astrobiologist said that they were able to make this discovery through the use of the most advanced microscanning technology in the entire world. Dr. Hoover sliced open these meteorites and discovered what they called remains of cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. This type of algae is said to have a unique quality and the ability to thrive even in some of the most harshest conditions, which is necessary when talking about surviving the extreme environment some other planets hold, as well as just space in general. Dr. Hoover said that while some of the bacteria he had found was similar to those on Earth, he said that some of the others were completely alien. He said, quote, "Neither I nor other experts who have seen the evidence have any idea what these creatures might be. I do believe these findings indicate that life is not restricted to Earth, but is broadly distributed, even outside our solar system," end quote. In our number 8 spot today, we have a fossil graveyard. In July of this year, in the Cotswold region of the UK beneath a limestone quarry, researchers made a fascinating discovery. Paleontologists uncovered a huge fossil graveyard of squiggly, alien-like Jurassic-era creatures. Like, what? These fossils included tens of thousands of these marine invertebrates, and they were all preserved at different stages in their life cycle. Talk about a scientific jackpot. It appeared as though these creatures lived at a time when they were absolutely thriving, until something happened. It isn't clear exactly what this event was, but perhaps it was some sort of mudslide that was triggered by an earthquake, but either way it ended up suffocating and entombing all of these creatures for 167 million years until they could be found by these paleontologists. I know these were clearly Earth creatures and not actually aliens, but these distant relatives of the creatures that currently exist on Earth truly do seem like aliens to us now. In our number 7 spot today, we have a fossil monster. These fossils pertaining to one particular creature have only been found in one spot, and that is in the Mason Creek fossil beds of Illinois. Here they have found the fossils of an animal called Tulamonstrum gregarium, or simply the Tully monster. This animal is said to have lived 300 million years ago in the shallow waters that covered Illinois. What is so unique about these fossils from this creature, other than the fact that it lived 300 million years ago, which is wild, is that attempts at classifying this creature have been highly controversial. Interpretations of this fossil have been likened to mollusks, arthropods, conodonts, worms, and vertebrates. It is super weird that this creature with fossils located in only one place from 300 million years ago is super hard to classify, because it has a bunch of different attributes that could be placed in a number of different animal classes. I'm not saying it's an alien, I'm just saying it's a little mysterious. In our number 6 spot today, we have Curiosity. NASA's Curiosity rover is one of the rovers sent to Mars to explore the red planet we want to know so much about. Curiosity has taken photos that have been extremely helpful to the scientists here on Earth, but some of those photos are more intriguing than others when it comes to the search for alien life. One batch of these photos, when looked at by researcher Barry de Gregorio, piqued his interest. He explained that the objects in the photos looked extremely similar to the Ordovician trace fossils he had studied and photographed here on Earth. He went on to ask the question, If not trace fossils, what other geological explanations could NASA come up with? These stick-like features he is talking about were first spotted in black and white photos taken by Curiosity, and they were so interesting that they sent the rover back to take a second look. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll one day find life on Mars, or do you think it is hiding somewhere else in the universe? Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe we'll be the one to find aliens. In our number 5 spot today we have the Gale Crater. The Gale Crater on Mars has been the focus of study for a long time, as it is believed that this crater once held water. Many scientists have speculated that this may be a location that did and possibly still could hold a watery environment conducive to life. Over 3,000 photographs taken by NASA's Curiosity rover were examined by a team of 14 experts in astrobiology, astrophysics, biophysics, geobiology, microbiology, algae, fungi, and fossils. This team published a controversial report which stated that they had found proof of life on Mars in these photos. Dr. Rudolf Schlid, who is said to be a Harvard-Smithsonian astrophysicist, wrote, quote, "We discovered Martian formations resembling metazoan fossils and observed hundreds of specimens which closely resemble algae and dimpled lichens attached to mudstones." End quote. The report that this team published has been controversial because of the fact that it was determined from photos rather than actual samples here on Earth, but at the end of the day, any kind of sign and any kind of possibility is rather exciting. Like I mentioned in the first one, hopefully the Perseverance rover will be able to head over to the Gale Crater and get a closer look at what is going on down there. Maybe we're closer to finding solid proof of alien life than we once thought. In our number 4 spot today we have these Canadian fossils. In Kootenay National Park in Canada in 2018, paleontologists discovered something incredible. This discovery was of course a fossil, and it was carapaces that had been molted onto a long-gone ocean floor that once existed here on Earth. These carapaces belong to some sort of species that is entirely new to science. You see where I'm going with this? It is thought that these fossils came from the Cambrian period 540 million years ago. While it is unlikely these creatures were actually aliens, it seems almost alien that these completely unknown creatures once existed on our planet. And who knows, maybe it really is the fossil of an alien. I mean, I wasn't around 540 million years ago to tell you, so at this point, I'm not really sure. It is debated exactly how these creatures relate to animals we currently have living on this wonderful Earth, which just adds to the mysteries of this wonderful find. In our number 3 spot today we have lava tubes. As it turns out, lava tubes may just be where the alien life has been hiding all these years. Besides holding the keys to the answers of a planet's geological history, lava tubes may also host environmental conditions that are relatively stable, which is kind of shocking. This may mean that these lava tubes would be appealing to life forms of all sizes. If a planet like, let's say, Mars ever did host life at one point, it's entirely possible that these life forms may have moved and tried to find a safer place amongst the changing conditions and evolution of Mars. These life forms may have been seeking some kind of haven, and this is where the lava tubes come in. Pascal Lee, a planetary researcher at NASA's Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California, said, quote, "On Mars and other places, lava tubes have the potential to have made the difference between life and death." End quote. Lava tubes, wherever they are found, are scientifically exotic, and it's been said that a mission to another world that also studies these underground features as well as the surface of the planet is like getting 2 planets for the price of 1. Maybe our issue all along is that we've been searching on the planet when we really should be looking at what's going on inside. In our number 2 spot today we have the Sri Lanka fossils. In 2012, scientists from the United Kingdom explained that they had found algae-like fossils inside of meteorite fragments that landed in Sri Lanka. Not only could this potentially have been proof of the existence of alien life, but it also could give indications as to how life on this planet formed, as that truly is one of the mysteries we still don't really have answers to. There are a few theories as to how life began, and they include the theory that life spontaneously erupted from inorganic molecules somehow, that life came here on a comet or an asteroid, or that some sort of alien civilization directly sent an asteroid here that contained life. Although this last one is the least likely, it's the one I'm most hoping for. Anyway, this fossil discovery may be holding the keys to this mystery we've long awaited the answers to. In our number 1 spot today we have the Australia fossils. 3.5 billion years ago, Earth wasn't exactly a great place to live. That is no shade to the beautiful planet we call home, it was just a different time. There were a lot of volcanic eruptions, not a lot of oxygen, and a pretty high chance of getting hit by an asteroid. Despite all of this and this extreme environment, something happened that allowed life to form and evolve here. This has led scientists to believe that surely this has also happened on other planets. Right? Fossils found in Australia, which were dated back 3.5 billion years ago, are the earliest direct evidence of life on Earth. This alone is crazy and exciting, but the research done on these fossils showed that not all of these fossilized organisms were the same. Some were primitive photosynthesizers and others produced methane. This shows that not only was life forming at this time, but that it had an easy time doing so. Scientists can't be sure about how much earlier life could have been formed here, but if the conditions are right, it seems as though these fossils prove that it's not exactly difficult for it to happen, and that life in the universe should be pretty widespread. The organisms in the fossils probably wouldn't like life on Earth so much now, but it does show that life can form and thrive under conditions we would think of as unlivable. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious beam. Pretty recently, scientists explained that they captured a mysterious beam of energy that was coming from the star that is the closest known star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This star is small and low mass and is located around 4.2 light years away from us. The thing about this star is that it has one rocky exoplanet that is 17% larger than Earth in its habitable zone, which would make liquid water a possibility on the planet. This planet's habitability has been disputed throughout the years, but this signal could be a sign that it may be even more habitable than any of us know. Scientists explained that the signal shifted while it was being observed, which mimicked the shift caused by a movement of a planet. They're taking extra precautions to figure out what exactly caused this shift in case it was some sort of mundane source. It will of course take some time to figure out, but it's all very exciting. In our number 9 spot today we have the Venus cloud. Last year in September of 2020, astrobiologists everywhere were excited and skeptical of some new potential evidence that had been found in the upper clouds of Venus. Firstly, can we just take a second to really think about how cool of a job an astrobiologist has? Anyway, the new findings were pointing to the potential of the presence of phosphine in the clouds. Phosphine is a rare and usually poisonous gas that on Earth is basically always met with the presence of living organisms. Venus hasn't really been top of the list of choices for finding potential life due to its surface temperature and pressure and the sulfuric acid clouds, but this evidence could prove to say something otherwise. 2 separate telescopes were able to pick up the signatures of phosphine in a cloud that had a similar temperature and pressure to Earth, and while this isn't concrete evidence of space bugs, it will at least be a reminder that we should be continuing to look for life even in the most unlikely places. And hey, maybe it is space bugs. In our number 8 spot today we have Uma. Okay, so this is one piece of evidence that actually has scientists fighting over what is going on with it. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and they called it Uma, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate started, because they just don't know why. Avi Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that is being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature, but in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on behind this one. In our number 7 spot today we have the NASA Viking experiment. This is one of the more debated ones on today's list, but that does not mean it isn't evidence. In 1976, NASA's Viking landers tested the soil on Mars and found some chemicals that could be attributed to signs of life. The soil was mixed with radioactive carbon-labeled nutrients and then tested for the production of radioactive methane gas. The test ended up receiving a positive result, which could indicate that something in the soil is metabolizing the nutrients to produce the gas. Despite further efforts, there still hasn't been any life found, but one of the scientists who worked on this original project, and others as well, stand by what they found and argued that the technology at the time wasn't advanced enough to find the key evidence of life. Hopefully with the new Perseverance rover that landed recently, we'll be able to find the signs on Mars that we have been looking for. In our number 6 spot today, we have black holes. When we think of black holes, we usually think of how absolutely terrifying they are, but that may be changing. There has actually been the discovery of a planet that is floating around a black hole. The forces around the hole are also providing heat for the planet as well, but there is one catch, and that is the fact that the planet needs to orbit at the speed of light. This would mean that a second on that planet would be hours on ours, which is kind of difficult to comprehend. The planet would have to be in what is called the Goldilocks zone though, because if it's too far from the black hole, it'll be too cold and there won't be any liquid water, but if it's too close, it will of course be sucked into the black hole by the gravitational forces. It's definitely a pretty crazy idea, but it is possible that there could be some life in this situation. In our number 5 spot today, we have fossilized microbes. Another piece of controversial evidence that came from Mars was announced in 1996. NASA scientists announced that they had potentially found what appeared maybe fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. It is likely that this rock came off during some sort of Mars collision and just casually floated around the solar system for 15 million years before landing in Antarctica in 1984. Just casual space stuff. After analyzing the rock, it was revealed that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineral magnetite, which is sometimes found in the bacteria on Earth. And upon further analysis with an electron microscope, it was claimed that there were signs of nanobacteria. Since then, some claim that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and there is a belief that the signs of nanobacteria could have been grown in a lab. In our number 4 spot today, we have UFO footage. Remember last year when the Navy released footage of UFOs, but we were in a global pandemic, so we didn't really have time to freak out about it? Well, let's freak out about it now, because what the heck was captured on those videos? The US Navy released footage last year where they had captured video of some sort of wingless aircraft that was traveling at hypersonic speed. Of course, people are wary to believe that this is true signs of alien life and alien visitors, but the thing is, we simply just don't really know what this is. We know it's not something that is known to us yet, so this could definitely be a sign of some sort of alien life, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In our number 3 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. So we've talked a bit on today's list about how we tend to think of life only being able to exist on other planets that are similar to ours with a similar atmosphere within a certain distance of a star, but we've also discussed how this more narrow thinking might not be the best scenario. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with a lot of planets is that there's far more hydrogen and helium. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 2 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it basically is just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All life and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course would prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long would it take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself? That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This, of course, would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I hope this one isn't true, because I really do hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 1 spot today, we have Europa. One of Jupiter's moons, called Europa, has a red tinge to it, and in 2001, NASA scientists revealed that it's possible that alien microbes might be responsible for the red color. The surface of the moon is mostly ice, but it has been shown that it reflects infrared radiation in a bizarre way. This means that something is binding it together, but researchers haven't been able to come up with the correct combination of elements and compounds to make the data make sense. There are some bacteria on Earth that can thrive in extreme conditions and that also have a red and brown color, which could potentially be responsible for the color on this moon. The surface temperature might be too cold for them to survive, but the warmer interior might be where they are located. Some geological activity on the moon could then push them closer to the surface, where they are then flash frozen in place.
Number 10. A bunch of paintings. Look, I might get into trouble for this, either from you or from my own family, but hey, I'm just saying what the internet says. We're talking about aliens here, so let's dabble in some speculation, shall we? Art imitates life, or so the saying goes, which is why some believe, based on depictions of Christ, that he was visited by aliens, or even maybe was one, I don't know! There, I said it. The examples I'm going to talk about are the Baptism of Christ, painted in the 1700s, and the Madonna and Saint Giovannino. The Baptism of Christ by Ert de Gelder literally shows the image of a flying saucer sending beams or lasers of light shining down on baby Jesus. Doesn't look like a sun if you ask me. Then the painting of the Madonna I mentioned, painted by Domenico Ghirlandaio 200 years earlier, literally has a flying saucer in the background. There's even a shepherd taking a minute off in the corner, just like, ooh, what's that? What is it supposed to mean? And why does this image keep turning up? Because it's gonna keep showing up in the other ones we mentioned, so let's keep going. Number 9, the spaceship panel in Seti. This is one of the weirdest series of hieroglyphic panels ever discovered. In the Temple of Seti in Abydos, Egypt, there is a panel that depicts images that look all too familiar. While some of them are a little more ambiguous, the image of a helicopter and what looked like cars the Jetsons would have driven really stand out. This caused a lot of pseudo-archaeologists to freak out because they finally had proof that the ancient Egyptians had encountered advanced technology. But more legit archaeologists continue to debunk this theory by saying that the drawings were actually a result of edited carvings. The translation even means, "He who protects Egypt and overthrows the foreign countries." I think the jury is still out on this one, to be honest. What do you guys think? Number 8, the Vatican's secret archives. Okay, I could have picked one or two, but all of it, just all of it, we just don't know what's in there. I'm putting the Vatican secret archives on this list because there is for sure evidence in that library that asks a lot of questions, or maybe even answers some. You can actually get access to them, it just takes, I don't know, the 12 trials of Hercules to get approved. Then you have to fly to Rome and go through each page by hand. There are thousands of historical documents with secrets the Vatican kept hidden from prying eyes. For example, in the 17th century, Pope Paul V ordered a select collection of documents to be sealed from the public until 1881. Researchers believe that there are documents so explosive that they threaten the doctrine of the Catholic Church. They may even contain information on messages that Giordano Bruno, we will get to him in a minute, received from extraterrestrials. The Vatican archives also contain secrets pertaining to the Fatima mystery, which brings us to the Fatima mystery. In 1917, 3 children apparently saw an apparition of the Virgin Mary in a field. Their vision prompted 70,000 people to visit the same sheep pasture and stated that they saw a spinning silver disc in the sky. The children apparently received a message from the specter that said, "We are here, we have been since thousands of years ago, and that they will return again." This entire story went to the Vatican, but apparently they censored the messages. The children received 3 messages, but the Pope refused to release the 3rd and final one, which apparently mentions the existence of extraterrestrial life. Why would they censor such a message? Can one believe in both the existence of a higher being and alien life? Apparently the Vatican doesn't think so, though we will never know until the day we finally get a hand on those documents. Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno was a bit of an enigma. His radical ideas and futuristic thinking have many people today wondering if he's actually a time traveler or an alien. We don't know. Bruno was born in 1548 and lived until the year 1600 and was considered one of the most adventurous thinkers of the Renaissance. I know that's not ancient, but it's old, okay? So there. I can't help but talk about it, so thank you for indulging me. Stemming from Copernicus's heliocentric theory, Bruno believed in the new philosophy. It disproved Aristotelian natural philosophy and supported the idea that the universe was infinite, animate, and had loads of solar systems like our own. What's even weirder is that Bruno even foretold theories like the many worlds hypothesis hundreds of years before quantum mechanics was even considered a thing. He even theorized about atoms and molecules. Needless to say, his radical ideas weren't welcomed by the church, especially since most of his theories were correct. Like they are, a lot of them are. No wonder people think he's a time traveler. How on earth did these ideas even get into his head? Number 5. Rock paintings in India. Archaeologists were stunned when they came across ancient rock carvings dating over 10,000 years old in a cave in Raipur. What made their jaws drop to the floor? The stark possibility that these drawings depict the visitation of ancient aliens and UFOs. NASA and the ISRO, aka the Indian Space Research Center, are trying to learn more about their origins, of course. Due diligence is key when it comes to claims like these. But upon first glance, these beings look as though they are humanoid creatures wearing spacesuits. Beliefs in the surrounding village vary, but many people believe that they are a depiction of the Rohilla people. The Rohilla people, or the small-sized ones, were people who allegedly used to land from the sky in round-shaped flying objects and steal 2 people from the village, and they'd never return. Number 4. The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is one of the most mysterious ancient discoveries of all time. Found 150 feet below the surface at the Aegean Sea, divers discovered a shipwreck. During the excavation, scientists discovered one of the oldest recorded computers, dating back to 7th century BC. It was determined to be a kind of analog computer used to predict astronomical events. According to author David Childress, for scientists, this finding was equivalent to finding a jet plane in King Tut's tomb. It changed how they perceived ancient history. Due to its stark complexity, alien enthusiasts believe that this technology must have been passed down from superior beings. So, aliens. The device was replicated in order to unravel the mystery, and even more shockingly, the device could calculate the position and running time of each planet. How could a pre-epoch civilization be able to create such a device without the use of sophisticated astronomical tools? You're thinking it, I'm just saying it. Aliens. Bam. Before we uncover our top 3, remember, if you like this video, do us a favor, smash that like button, punch it, poke it, boop it, whatever you want to do, and subscribe to stay up to date. It really helps us out, and we love you for it. Now for our top 3. The moving statues of Rhodes. So this actually relates to the one I just talked about. So this is cool, I'm getting 2 points in 1. This relates actually to the Antikythera mechanisms, as researchers believe that the ship it was found on originates from Rhodes. Move over, Atlantis! According to some, the island of Rhodes contains some of the most advanced technology of the time. Apparently the statues would suddenly just come to life, which implies that they developed some kind of machinery over 2,000 years ago, around 1500 years too soon for any kind of robotics. Legend says that the people earned the technology from the gods, though what they could have considered gods may have been something extraterrestrial in nature. Number 2. An iron dagger. When archaeologists began excavating King Tut's tomb, it was not surprising to find many elaborate and delicate objects, but one artifact stands out from the rest: an iron dagger, delicately laid in gold with a beautiful golden sheath. Iron is a very commonplace material today. In fact, not a day goes by where we don't come in contact with it at some point. But at the time this dagger was made, the ancient Egyptians were 200 years away from the Iron Age. Iron was incredibly rare. Then they discovered ancient hieroglyphs alluding to the dagger being given to them from the heavens. Now you see where I'm going with this. The composition of the dagger was tested and they found iron, but also included nickel and cobalt, in exactly the combination that is found in meteorites. The riddle now makes sense, as the iron came from space, but where did it land? Archaeologists continue to theorize its location, though the jury is still out. So how else could they have gotten it? And And last but not least, geoglyphs. Geoglyphs are massive versions of petroglyphs, which are small drawings carved into the earth and rock. They appear all over the world in every culture. The most famous example of geoglyphs are the Nazca lines in Peru, which we've talked about on this channel before. If you find the video, post it down below to help each other out. The Nazca lines are the most popular due to the sheer size of them and variety, and many believe they hint at alien life. One of them is literally called the astronaut because that's exactly what it looks like. But to give you some more examples, there is the massive Uffington white horse found in Britain dating back to 11,000 BC, the works of the old men discovered in Jordan in the 1900s. I could go on, they're everywhere. Maybe we should do a video. Let me know if you want to. In most cases, the lines are so precise and clear that many wonder how these ancient civilizations constructed these designs when we only discovered their existence when we learned how to fly, or fly in airplanes, that is. One answer seems to make the most sense. They needed somebody above being like, move there, carve there, that one needs a little more. Aliens. Duh. The biggest question I have stemming from this list revolves around the images that keep turning up all throughout history. Why flying saucers? Where did that image come from if not from spaceships in the sky? Why when we see pre-epoch drawings on caves or devices beyond our understanding, does something inside us suspect it came from somewhere else?
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the New Jersey UFO. This UFO sighting took place in 2001 just above the New Jersey Turnpike. On July 14th, 2001, just after midnight, for around 15 minutes, motorists driving down the highway stopped to stare at the sky to witness what no one could believe. There were strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation just above the Arthur Kill waterway. There were a ton of witnesses who were all extremely confused and shocked as to what they were seeing. Air traffic controllers initially denied that there were any flying objects that could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group called the New York Strange Phenomena investigators claimed that they received radar data that night that could corroborate all of the stories that the witnesses were telling. It may not have been aliens, but it certainly was some sort of unidentified flying object that no one had ever seen before, and there were people from all walks of life witnessing it together. In our number 9 spot today, we have habitable planets. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. So, we once were on a journey to start off by figuring out which planets were actually habitable. And by that I mean which planets were rocky and which were orbiting a star within what is called the Goldilocks zone and had water, and that they weren't too hot or too cold so that water could be in liquid form. It just seems like the absolute basics needed in order to sustain life. Well, now, after more years of research, it is thought that actually about 1 in every 5 or 6 planets is actually a planet that could potentially sustain life. It is thought that there is roughly about 1 exoplanet for every star in our galaxy. That's a lot of planets, which means that's a lot of planets that could potentially have life. There certainly are planets that researchers believe are the most likely, but that doesn't mean that they are the only ones that should be looked into. Basically, what I'm saying is that there are, at the very least, millions of planets that could be hosting some form of life, whether it's an intelligent civilization or just single-cell organisms that have the potential to evolve over millions of years, just like us. Any kind of life would be a huge and exciting win for the science community, so it's just a reminder to us to keep searching because we never know what we're going to find. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Stephenville UFO. In January of 2008, in the small town of Stephenville, Texas, a bunch of residents all saw something in the sky that they couldn't believe. In the beginning, it appeared to be white lights in the sky that were first in a single arc, but then they quickly moved to form 2 parallel lines. It was estimated that the lights were spanning about a mile long and half a mile wide, but the craziest part is that it was flying at 3,000 miles per hour, which is similar to the speed of a fighter jet, but there was no sound reported at all. The government chalked this sighting up to the US Air Force flight operation, but many of the residents who saw this event on that day were absolutely not convinced and truly felt like they were lied to. Some even explained that what they saw was too technologically advanced for human civilization. I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you believe the story that the government told, or if you trust the instincts of the people in Stephenville who saw that incident that day. In our number 7 spot today, we have time. This one is basically just the theory that we may not have found aliens yet because we haven't spent enough time looking for them. Realistically, it's been about half a century since we really gained the technological advancements that have allowed us to really look for them. In terms of the universe, that is the smallest little blink of an eye. Things take time, and it's incredibly possible that we just haven't had enough of it yet. Every year, as more money gets put into things like that, it allows incredibly smart and brilliant people the opportunity to create things that unbelievably make space more and more accessible to us. The more accessible it is, the more we will be able to discover. So maybe this is just a lesson in patience for all of us. If aliens do exist, I'm sure we'll find them at some point. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I personally would like to meet an alien, but since I'm not an astronaut, I might have to wait a little longer than I'd like to. In our number 6 spot today, we have this unexplained UFO. In 2017, after the existence of the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program became more well known, a video was released of an encounter between an FA-18 Super Hornet and some sort of unidentified flying object. There weren't a ton of details released about exactly what happened during this encounter, but using a Raytheon Advanced Targeting forward-looking infrared pod, they were able to capture an extremely fast-moving white oval that was around 45 feet long. The oval had no wings and didn't appear to have any kind of exhaust either. They were tracking the UFO at an altitude of 25,000 feet just above the Atlantic Ocean, and then they were shocked as the craft rotated on its axis and flew away. There was no explanation released with the footage because it truly is unbelievable and currently unexplainable. In our number 5 spot today, we have They May Already Be Here. Okay, this one is for my conspiracy theorists out there. This is just the theory that maybe we can't find aliens because they've already found us and are actually walking among us, and we just don't know. I'm not quite sure the logistics of this one because I am definitely a human, and no alien who's posing as a human has ever revealed themselves to me personally, but I can't speak for everyone. It's possible that if this is true, aliens might be waiting for the right time to let us know that they've been walking around with us, or there may already be some lucky people out there who already know. I know a lot of us would be quite frightened of aliens if we did find concrete proof of their existence, and it might be likely that they're afraid of us as well. And if they are more intelligent than us and were able to find us first, they might just be testing out the waters to see what humans really think of them before letting us in on their secrets. So if you meet a stranger who starts asking you a bunch of questions about aliens, you might want to think twice next time. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Chicago UFO. This UFO sighting comes from November 7th, 2006 and was at the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. Flight 446 was getting ready to head to North Carolina when an employee from United Airlines that was on the tarmac noticed a dark gray metallic aircraft hovering over one of the gates. After this, 11 other employees and even a few people who didn't work there saw this gray saucer floating around 4:15 p.m. The people who saw it explained that it hovered above the gate for around 5 minutes before it just shot itself upwards and broke through the clouds, leaving a hole where you could see the blue sky. The strangest thing, however, is that this flying saucer did not show up on the radar, so the Federal Aviation Administration just called it a weather phenomena and would not investigate it, despite there being around 15 witnesses who all saw the same thing. This story, however, became the most read story on the Chicago Tribune's website and even went international because it certainly is very interesting. In our number 3 spot today, we have light shifts. In the later half of 2015, a Penn State astronomer named Jason Wright explained that there were pretty erratic and spontaneous shifts in the light that was coming from a newly discovered star. This star sits about 1,280 light years away from us on Earth, and these shifts were very similar to as if something was passing in front of our view of the star briefly before passing right through. Scientists weren't able to connect this to any exoplanets or anything like that, which we could understand, and this is what led Jason to quite an interesting theory. He stated that it is possible that the shifts are caused by massive objects passing in front of the star in a kind of orbit, like an array of massive satellites or a similar kind of structure, like the type of thing that would be produced by an intelligent and civilized life form. Again, like many things, it's just a theory, but a very compelling one at that. In our number 2 spot today, we have the USS Princeton UFO. This UFO sighting comes from 2004. On November 14th of that year, the USS Princeton noticed an unknown aircraft of some sort that was about 100 miles off of the coast of San Diego. For 2 weeks prior to this, the crew had been tracking a strange flying object, and this one would start out at around 80,000 feet before extremely quickly dropping to hover right above the Pacific Ocean. Black Aces Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate of Strike Fighter Squadron 41 went over in 2 fighter jets in order to kind of scope out the situation, and when they arrived, they saw what at first appeared to be churning water while there was an oval shape just below the surface. After this, a white oval shaped object appeared above the water, but it had no markings on it. Like no windows, nothing that would indicate an engine, no wings, and the infrared monitors on the jets didn't pick up any sort of exhaust. The commander and lieutenant commander tried to intercept this strange aircraft, but it very quickly flew away and reappeared on the monitor 60 miles away. Like when I say quickly, I mean it was moving at 3 times the speed of sound and over twice the speed of fighter jets. So faster than any kind of technology we currently have. We still don't know exactly what this was, but I'm sure a lot of us are thinking the same thing. In our number 1 spot today, we have radio signals. Basically, we're getting radio signals from somewhere, but we just aren't quite sure what exactly is going on there. It started in 2007 when we began getting what are called fast radio bursts, and they are a totally mysterious phenomena to scientists. These bursts are only a few milliseconds long, but they emit more energy than the sun does in 24 hours, which is just a statement that my brain struggles to comprehend. All of this is already super cool and very interesting, but here's an even crazier thing about them. The main thing we know about these bursts is that they are coming from outside of the Milky Way. They're coming from outside of our own galaxy. Space is the coolest and most unbelievable thing. This obviously had led a lot of experts to believe that it could be coming from an advanced civilization that is quite far away, and they may be trying to contact us, but we just don't have the technology to interpret the signals. Maybe one day scientists will figure out a way to accept whatever message it is they're trying to send, or maybe one day we'll get a visit from them and they'll be mad at us for not answering their messages. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the WOW signal. In August of 1977, there was a radio telescope at Ohio State University that detected a strange signal. The radio picked up a pulse of radiation that was super unusual and that was coming from somewhere by the constellation of Sagittarius. The signal lasted for 37 seconds and it has been commonly referred to as the WOW signal because of the fact that the astronomers observing it were so shocked at the time that they wrote "wow" on the printout from the telescope. This signal was so shocking because it was in a band of radio frequencies that are internationally banned on Earth. There are a multitude of natural sources for radiation in space that would cover a multitude of frequencies, so there are scientists who are skeptical that this could be proof of alien life, but skepticism doesn't mean it should be ruled out. The nearest star in the direction it was coming from is 220 million light years away, so it must have either come from a huge astronomical event or intelligent alien life with a very powerful transmitter who are trying to contact us. At the end of the day, this signal was detected in 1977 and we still don't know exactly where it's coming from or why it exists, so who's to say this isn't something super exciting and possibly related to potential alien life. In our number 9 spot today, we have methane on Mars. As we all know, we are constantly looking at Mars and searching for not only the potential for a new planet for us to live on, but also potential signs of alien life that may already exist there, or perhaps evidence of a past alien existence. In 2004, we might have found some evidence that would suggest this is a strong possibility, and that is the discovery of methane gas in the atmosphere of Mars. In that year, 3 separate groups all independently reported the finding of the methane gas, and considering almost all of the methane in Earth's atmosphere is produced by bacteria and other life, this was extremely promising for scientists. There are other possibilities for the methane, such as the thawing of frozen underground deposits, or it could be generated by volcanism, but whatever the cause, it would have to be recent since it will either be destroyed quickly on Mars or it will escape into the rest of space. To potentially strengthen this point, in 2005, scientists also announced that they may have found evidence of formaldehyde, which was produced by the oxidization of methane. If this is true, that will only strengthen the case for potential microbes to be found on the planet. planet. The good news is that while all these potential signs came from almost 20 years ago, and there wasn't the technology to prove any of these claims, we now have the technology actually on the planet digging in the soil, and we are much closer to getting real answers about what is going on Mars than we ever have been before. I mean, we can see Mars in 4K, which is unreal. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. And if the aliens ever go on YouTube, we want them to know that we like them. See what I did there? In our number 8 spot today, we have the ancient sightings. This evidence comes from long before any of us were alive, but that doesn't mean it isn't potentially important. There have of course been recent UFO sightings and sometimes even reported alien visits or abductions, but with pop culture and media, it's easy for us to write these off as hoaxes, or people who are trying to receive their 5 minutes of fame, or people who thought they saw something but were mistaken by another piece of human technology. But what about the people who claimed these kinds of sightings long before the internet or international news or even human-made flying objects existed? Even in our ancient history, there have been writings and paintings of the potentially extraterrestrial variety. As one example, the 15th century painting The Madonna with Saint Giovannino depicts the Virgin Mary, but also in the background features some sort of hovering disc-like object that looks a lot like a UFO. This isn't the only example, however, as we've also seen some sort of otherworldly beings in ancient cave paintings and Sanskrit scrolls, and there have even been some people who swear it is also written in the Book of Ezekiel. It certainly says something that potential alien sightings have existed since so far back in our human history, so it must either point to proof of alien existence or just human beings being obsessed with conspiracies right from the beginning of our existence. In our number 7 spot today, we have Titan. Many space agencies have turned their main focus on the search for extraterrestrial life, from advanced intelligent life forms to more primitive and smaller life forms, and that starts with the smallest organisms and microbes. To help with this study and process, NASA is preparing a $4.25 billion mission to Europa, which is one of Jupiter's moons that we have previously discussed, since scientists believe it holds a strong potential for alien microbes under its icy surface. This study is aiming to be launched in 2024, which is quickly approaching, but there is another mission also in the works that is focusing on another moon that we haven't spoken yet about, and that is the moon of Saturn called Titan. In 2027, they're aiming to launch the $1 billion Dragonfly mission to this moon in order to analyze the lakes of liquid methane that exist on Titan. A planetary scientist at Johns Hopkins University who studies alien atmosphere named Sarah Horst has said that they believe Titan has all the ingredients necessary for life, so it certainly is a very promising mission. We may have to wait until 2027, but who knows? Maybe we'll find signs even before with all the upcoming missions and technological advancements. In our number 6 spot today, we have the 2021 UFO. On February 21st of this year, a blogger was using a radio scanner to try and pick up feed from an aircraft when he received much more than he ever expected. He intercepted the transmission of the wrong aircraft, but at the right time. As an American Airlines flight was headed from Cincinnati to Phoenix, around 1:19 p.m., the pilot came on the radio to ask the question, "Do you have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us." After this, he followed up with, "I hate to say this, but it looked like a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast right over top of us." Not only were the FAA air traffic controllers not able to see any object in the area on their radar scope, but they still have been unable to identify exactly what it could have been. This does happen way more often than any of us realize, and it is possible that the object could have been part of some covert military or navy operation, but it certainly raises some alarm bells that it was unable to be tracked in any sort of capacity. I wonder if this was one of those stories that will remain a mystery, or if one day we'll get some sort of answers as to what exactly happened here. In our number 5 spot today, we have the radiation-proof bacteria. This is a sign that we could be very close to finding out more about due to the Perseverance rover that is currently searching on Mars. In 2002, Russian astrobiologists hypothesized that a bacteria here on Earth may have actually evolved on Mars. This bacteria is the most tough bacteria on Earth. It can withstand even the most extreme conditions such as cold, dehydration, vacuum, and acid, but the craziest part is that it is virtually radiation-proof. These little microbes can withstand several thousand times the amount of radiation a human can withstand, as well as more radiation than any other bacteria on Earth. You can even find this bacteria on the inside of a nuclear reactor. Scientists did an experiment to to see how quickly this bacteria could build up a stronger radiation resistance by zapping the bacteria with enough radiation to kill 99.9% of it, then leaving the remaining 0.1% to repopulate before zapping it again and repeating the process. It was concluded that it would have taken E. coli thousands and thousands of rounds to build up the same resistance that this hardy bacteria did in only 44 rounds. With this experiment, and based on the dose of radiation they gave each bacteria, it would take millions and millions of years to get even close to the amount of radiation they gave the bacteria in one cycle. Since Earth just doesn't carry that amount of radiation, it has led some scientists to speculate that since Mars is virtually unprotected and receives extremely high amounts of radiation, these bacteria may have evolved on Mars and gained their resistance in just a few 100,000 years, and that they may have been flung off of Mars by an asteroid and then brought to Earth on meteorites. It certainly is just a hypothesis at this point, but really, how else can we explain this random superpowered bacteria that is unlike any else on our Earth? I know these bacteria aren't the signs of alien life we are expecting and hoping for, but any alien life is exciting no matter how small. In our number 4 spot today we have Frederick Valentich. Frederick was an Australian pilot who disappeared under some unbelievably suspicious circumstances on a training flight on October 21st, 1978. During the flight he radioed the Melbourne Air Traffic Control to let them know that he was being accompanied by an aircraft that was around 1,000 feet above him, and at the same time that his engine had begun to run roughly. Air Traffic Control responded to him by explaining that there was no known air traffic at that level, and Frederick explained he could see a large unknown aircraft with 4 bright landing lights. He explained the aircraft approached him from the east and at first thought it was another pilot playing around with him, which for the record, during a flight seems like a terrible time for someone to play a prank. He then went on to explain that the mysterious aircraft was orbiting him and had a green light on it. When Air Traffic Control tried to get further details and asked what kind of an aircraft it was, Frederick responded by saying, "It's not an aircraft." After this, his radio transmission was interrupted by a metallic scraping sound, and this is when all contact was lost. Sea and air search began, but to no avail. There have been speculations that don't involve alien abductions, such as a staged disappearance, the possibility of Frederick getting confused and flying upside down, and potentially even him taking his own life, but all of these theories have been debunked in some sort of way, and neither the aircraft or Frederick himself have ever been found. The reason why alien abduction has been the main theory in this case is due to the fact of the many reported UFO sightings on the same night in the same region as his disappearance. It of course leaves us with more questions than answers, but it's all very interesting and very mysterious. In our number 3 spot today we have more mysterious signals. Okay, before I get into this point, can we just take a second to talk about how many mysterious radio signals we are getting from space? In every part of these videos I've talked about some sort of unknown signal, and I'm about to talk about another one. In 2003, astronomers on the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project used a massive telescope that is located in Puerto Rico to take a look at 200 sections of the sky to re-examine the areas where they had once detected unexplained radio signals. During this, they found that all the previously detected signals had disappeared except for one. This one signal not only didn't disappear, but it only got stronger. The signal is coming from between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, and the curious thing about this location is that it resides in a place where there are no known obvious planets or stars. The signal is at one of the frequencies that hydrogen absorbs and emits energy, and hydrogen is of course one of the most common elements. There are scientists who believe that this is the frequency alien life would be most likely to use if they were trying to contact us. There is a possibility that this signal could be coming from some sort of natural phenomena that we just haven't had a chance to previously observe, but at this point, all options are on the table. In our number 2 spot today we have the James Webb Space Telescope. Okay, this one is a little different than the other signs we've been talking about because this is something that is happening in October of this year that could get us closer to detecting alien life than ever before. On October 31st, 2021, NASA, in partnership with the European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency, will be launching the James Webb Space Telescope that is a huge and very exciting advancement. This telescope will help us solve some of the mysteries of our own solar system and will give us a better look at the distant worlds that lay outside of it. it. There are so many gas dwarf planets that have the strong potential of holding alien life, but we just haven't had the technology to really see and investigate them because they don't live within our solar system. These super Earths or mini Neptunes need to be investigated to see what their atmospheres contain, because it is very possible they are showing signs of life, even if it is only microbes. Once this telescope is in orbit, it will unfold a 5-layered sun shield that will reach the size of a tennis court, and then after this, a 6.5 meter primary mirror will be deployed, and this will give the telescope the power to detect faint light from stars and galaxies that lie far, far away. I know this isn't a sign of alien life yet, but the potential is absolutely amazing. Even if we don't detect alien life, we are still getting so much valuable information, and any step forward is a step closer to us finding alien life if it exists. In our number 1 spot today, we have the astronaut sightings. We can sit here on Earth all day and talk about the potential for alien life, but who would know more than the people who have actually been to space, which are of course astronauts. Definitely on the list of coolest and scariest jobs in the entire world, there haven't been a ton of people who have had the unbelievable privilege of experiencing space firsthand, but there are even less of them who have claimed to see something that could potentially be proof of alien existence. People who have claimed these sorts of things include Edgar Mitchell, Catherine Coleman, and Dr. Brian O'Leary. The very interesting part about many of these claims is that they also include some sort of government cover-up as well with their claims. There was also Buzz Aldrin, who spoke about his Apollo 11 experience, and he detailed the crew seeing something flying alongside them, and at first they believed it was the final stage of a detached rocket, but the mission control confirmed that it was actually 6,000 miles away from them, leaving them with absolutely no answers on what the flying object could actually be. I can't imagine going to space at all, let alone encountering a UFO flying right beside you. I also can't believe I hadn't heard of that story before, because to me that sounds a lot like full-blown alien contact.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Solomon Island saucer. Over the years, there have been a number of UFO sightings near the Solomon Islands. Most witnesses experience the exact same thing. They see a UFO with strange lights rise out of the ocean and fly off into the sky. These sightings are what have led to the theory that aliens have secret bases underwater. One fisherman in the area said he saw this UFO and the lights raise out of the ocean and then fly by him. He said it got so close to him that he could feel the heat on him as it passed by. Not only that, but some people who have witnessed this ended up disappearing without a trace. So like, did the aliens come for them or something? Or what? Are they gonna come for me now? No thank you. Just don't go to Solomon Islands, okay? In our 9th spot today, we have the octopi. And I wanna say octopus is so bad, but I know it's not the proper plural, so we're going with octopi, whatever. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that octopi are some sort of version of an alien. Maybe they're related to aliens. So let me explain. So we all know that back in the day, tons of meteors crashed down on Earth. Well, they believe that the meteorites that crashed into the ocean from space actually contained some sort of organic material. Now, this either infected some sort of water species or allowed the material in the meteor to evolve into octopi. So really, octopi could just be composed of alien DNA. Now, to support this theory, they mention that both octopi and aliens are incredibly smart. On a number of occasions, octopi have pulled pranks on humans. They also have way different genomes than squids, which they're said to be closely related to. And also, they can change colors. They're just a really weird species. So what do you think? Could octopi be descendants of aliens? Maybe. Coming in at number 8, we have the Yonaguni Monument. Located in the depths of the Dragon's Triangle is this weird underwater formation, which has been given the name the Yonaguni Ruins. It's a bunch of weird structures that no one knows much about. Some say they are remnants of a lost civilization. Others believe they were created by aliens, and that they're part of a secret underwater alien base. Let's explore that theory. For starters, it's kind of odd that this monument is located in the Dragon's Triangle. This area is considered the Pacific's very own Bermuda Triangle. Over the years, a number of ships and planes have disappeared in broad daylight in calm waters in that area. Maybe this underwater monument has something to do with these disappearances. For example, in 1952, the Japanese government sent 31 individuals to go investigate this area. They all disappeared from that area without a trace, and their bodies and the ship were never found. Theory goes that this monument is being used by aliens in some way. Maybe it's interfering with our navigational equipment and causing these plane crashes and ship disappearances. Who knows? Coming in at number 7, we have Ivan Sanderson. In 1970, biologist Ivan Sanderson published a book titled The Invisible Residence. In this book, he talked all about UFOs or USOs, unidentified submerged objects, aka UFOs that have been spotted going into the water or rising up out of it. According to his book, on April 19, 1957, a crew member on board a Japanese fishing boat witnessed something very strange. He saw 2 metallic silvery objects descend from the sky and dive right down into the sea. He described them as being 10 meters long with no wings or anything. When the craft hit the water, it caused great waves and rocked their boat. This could be more proof that aliens have secret bases in the ocean. Coming in at number 6, we have the leaked UFO video. A recent leaked video from 2019 shows a UFO diving into the ocean off the coast of San Diego. And guess what? The Pentagon confirmed this video to be authentic. So basically, in this video, you can see a dark spherical object flying over the ocean. It was picked up by an infrared camera at night. The object flies back and forth across the screen before stopping and slowly lowering itself into the water. Apparently, this video was recorded by official Navy personnel. Take a look at it and see for yourself.
Took off, booking it.
Staying wind, topside, gust of 40.
What was flash?
What do you think that could be? The Pentagon has no explanation for it yet. Also, the area was then searched and no craft was ever recovered or found. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Baltic Sea anomaly. In 2011, a group of divers went out looking for treasure in the Baltic Sea. That's when they came across something weird. It was a 70-meter long weird object laying 300 feet below sea level. This thing has since been named the Baltic Sea anomaly because no one knows what it is. It's just this massive steel-looking structure shaped like a disc with some weird patterns on it. It gets weirder when the divers claim their equipment randomly stopped working when they got closer to the object. The thing caused a massive electrical interference there. It's believed that this thing could be part of an ancient alien spacecraft. To this day, this thing still baffles scientists. They don't know what the heck it is. In our 4th spot today, we have the underwater crop circles. Underwater crop circles don't really need an explanation. They're crop circles found underwater. They're actually quite beautiful. It's just a bunch of almost perfect circles with a design found at the bottom of the sea. Scientists have said that they are made naturally by pufferfish while on a journey to find a mate. Blah, 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 okay? It's kind of weird how perfect and detailed and intricate these circles are. You decide what you want to believe. Are they made by fish or are they made by aliens? In our 3rd spot today, we have the underwater Stonehenge. Turns out that there's a version of Stonehenge located right at the bottom of Lake Michigan. There are a bunch of random rock formations that scientists have been struggling to explain, but it's believed that they are thousands of years old. What makes it even weirder is that on one of these stones, they discovered a carving of a mastodon, a relative of an elephant that went extinct over 10,000 years ago. So they were like, maybe this structure has been here since the last ice age. So we really don't know how old they truly are, or who built them, and why. But of course, ancient astronaut theorists believe that aliens are involved in this somehow. In our 2nd spot today, we have the weird space alien creature. This video might be real footage of a shape-shifting alien. So it was captured in 2013 by a remotely operated vehicle. The vehicle was 3,753 below in the Indian Ocean when it saw this creature. Now the creature is quite beautiful. It looks almost like a jellyfish, but it's a creature we have never seen before. As the video goes on, we literally see it shapeshift in front of our eyes, and it starts to glow different colors. Then at the end of the video, it like disintegrates. And that's the last we have ever seen of this creature. We still don't know what on earth this creature is, if it even is from Earth. And in our number one spot today, we have the Sycamore Knoll. The Sycamore Knoll is a weird stadium-shaped structure located about 2,000 feet underwater. It's massive. It's about 2.5 to 3 miles wide. It also has what appears to be pillars or columns supporting it. And under there, it looks like an entrance. So automatically people were like, yeah, that for sure is an entrance to an alien base. And not gonna lie, it looks like it. This base was first discovered on Google Maps and is located close to Malibu. People have claimed to see UFOs landing in the waters in that exact area before they even knew of that underwater structure. Freaky, isn't it? To this day, scientists don't know for sure what this thing even is.